What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the vlog. It's been a minute since I vlogged, actually. I think it's been 9 days since I last recorded a vlog. I tried to record a couple earlier in the week, but it has just been one of those weeks. It's just been crazy. I think the last 2 days have been like 10, 12-hour days. Just a lot of client stuff happening all at the same time, and I started my week super light, and I was like, this is probably going to be a pretty chill week. Like, I was looking at my calendar, I was like, not a lot going on. My Monday, I literally took a 2-hour break in the middle of my day just to kind of relax because I had the time, and I was like, this might be a pretty relaxing week. Famous last words. It was a bit of an insane week for me. Hopefully, knock on wood, today, Friday, is going to be a little bit lighter, but I literally developed 2 6-week content plans for client in like a 24-hour period, including graphics and content and everything. So it was just a lot, plus some other thing. Everything was just coming up at the same time. This has been one of those weeks I haven't had the time to vlog. I have tried, haven't successfully vlogged. Gonna try and do that today on this amazing Friday, October 23rd. Anyways, I have a call at 10:30 with a student who's running a podcast who wants to pick my brain about my podcast. Other than that, like I said, it should be a bit of a lighter day for client stuff. I want to try and get as much stuff done as I can this morning, just in case there's a slight chance I have a last minute podcast to record this afternoon. So I want to get as much stuff done this morning. Other than that, other things that you've missed this week, other than falling off with the vlog, I've kind of fallen off with content creation as a whole. Last week, I was consistent posting on LinkedIn every single day. I hit over 15,000 views on LinkedIn in a week. Granted, I had 2 posts I did really, really well. But other than that, I did post my podcast with Zeeky, the co-founder of Starbucks. I posted that this week, and I posted that on LinkedIn. That's at about 4,000 views right now on LinkedIn. But yeah, I've really fallen off with my content. I wasn't consistent at all. I wanted to be a little bit better with that moving forward, but I feel like I'm rambling now to start this vlog off, so I'm going to get to work, and I will talk to you soon. Hey man, how are you? But a majority has come through cold emailing. Just straight up like, hey, this is my name, this is what the podcast is about, I'd love to have you on. And usually what I do is I try to find people that have been on my podcast that they follow, so that I can be like, past guests of the podcast include like this person, this person, this person. So I try to provide social proof that way, and now I have this testimonial from Zev that I can throw into my message as well, but I try to keep it as short as possible. Just, this is what the podcast is about, this is why I want you on. Like, try to reference specific things, so it's not just like a generic message. And then a little bit of social proof, whether that be through downloads, views, past guests, or the testimonial. And then the other thing I do too is like, I try and find the social platform where they have the smallest following. So like, you might find someone on, like, for example, like you try to message Switch on LinkedIn, he'll probably answer you anyways because he's really good at that. But he has like 130,000 followers on LinkedIn. Yeah. But you go to his Instagram, he only has 30K. So the odds of like you getting through the noise of like notifications and messages coming in is probably higher because there's less coming through on Instagram. Or like, sometimes I found people with like, they'll have like 50K on Twitter, but then I'll go to their Instagram, they have like 1,200. So it's like the odds of me cutting through on Instagram is a lot higher because they're probably not getting a ton of random messages and notifications on their Instagram. For me, like, how I relax during, like, I've kind of like been reflecting on it lately, and I think for me it's 2 things. One is because I'm just so prepared. Like, I over index on preparation. Like 4, 5, 6 hours of prep per guest usually is pretty standard for me. And then the podcast I recorded yesterday my notes were 8 pages and over 2,700 words. So it's like, I know I'm never going to run out of material. Like, and he's like, I only have an hour. And we got like maybe halfway through my notes. Like, I had to like cut, and like we jumped around, and like, just because I'm overly prepared. And the other thing too, why I feel like I'm relaxed when I do my interviews, is during that preparation process, I try to listen to like other interviews they've been on, watch other interviews, their YouTube videos. And I've watched them I've consumed so much of this one person in such a short period of time. I feel like I know them. I understand their tendencies. I know how they speak. Like, I know their cadences. So it's like, when I sit down and I talk to them, or like I'll ask them a question that I know, like I'll know the answer to already, but I'm trying to ask a follow-up, but I want the audience to have the context. They're like answering that question, and it's like, I already know this is the answer, and like I already know how they're going to position this answer. So it's like, I just feel like I know them already, so it's not like a stranger when I jump onto the call for the first time. Great conversation with my friend Rick. He's the
founder and host of the Seed the Startup Journey podcast. We connected on LinkedIn probably under a week ago. We set up this call. He's about 19 episodes into his podcast journey, so he wanted to ask me a little bit about my experience running my podcast. Great chat. I'll make sure his podcast is linked in the show notes if you want to check it out, or in the description if you want to check it out. And today's vlog is going to be a little bit of vlogception going on. We had a little bit of a change up last minute with the Trufan Instagram story takeover, which happens every single Friday. A different person on the team takes over the story. Had a little bit of a mix up, so I'm actually going to be stepping in, taking over the story today. I'm going to include all of my stories in today's vlog, but we're going to have a little bit of vlogception as I document my day here for the vlog, but also on the Trufan story. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jacob. I'm the marketing manager here at Trufan, and I'll be taking over the Instagram story today. A little bit of a later start to the story today, and honestly, the entire reason for that is because I've just been waiting for my Trufan sweater to come out of the dryer because I want to be fully decked out in Trufan merch for today's takeover. A little bit about me. I am from Ottawa. I am 23 years old. I've been with Trufan for a little over 8 months now, started back in February. And my day-to-day, what it looks like is has to do with the marketing. Obviously, I am responsible for the social media, so the posting, scheduling, creating a plan for everything. I do some graphics works along with Alex, who took over the story a few weeks ago, a little bit of video stuff as well. And on top of that, when I started, I was originally editing Trufan's podcast, the fans' first podcast, but we changed things up a few months ago, and Trufan entered into a partnership with my podcast, My Social Life, and made it the official podcast of Trufan. So I'm the host of the podcast, My Social Life. The newest episode is out now, and it is with the co-founder of Starbucks, Zev Siegel, and you can listen to it at the link in our bio. Making some lunch right now, and I figured now would be a good time to do a Q&A while I have a minute. If you have any questions about me, my role, the podcast, anything, feel free to leave them on the next story. Working for a company like Trufan is great. I love being in the startup environment. This is the first time I've really been in the startup environment, but I love it, and I love it for a few reasons. One of the big reasons with why I enjoy working in a startup is with the smaller team size, you work in close proximity with everybody, and that's including the exec team. So you get to see kind of firsthand how they approach different situations and tackle different problems that come our way. And I feel like that's just a really good learning for someone like me to kind of see how they approach that. And with the smaller team size, you get to be involved in more high-level decision-making that you wouldn't necessarily get to be involved in a bigger company. So I feel like I'm getting a lot of really good experience working with Trufan. And the other thing, too, I like about working here is just the fact that the people are so awesome. Every other week we do a thing called a Friday Cheers where we all get together on a Zoom call and we play different games or something. Like last week we did karaoke, and I just look forward to it every other week because the people here are so much fun, and I just love those calls. I actually cook pretty often because I try to save money on food and not eat out all the time. Some of my favorite recipes are my turkey chili, these fajitas that I make, and then I also recently started making these fire vegetarian enchiladas. Those are my top 3. These are actually my only 2 pieces of Trufan merch. I just love them so much, which is why I'm wearing them all the time, which is why it looks like I'm always wearing Trufan clothes. But if you want to cop your own, and I highly recommend you do, trufan.shop. A little bit of context on this question and a little bit of a plot twist, I guess. I'm not actually a full-time employee of Trufan. I run my own marketing agency called Jack Marketing, and Trufan is one of the amazing businesses I am fortunate enough to work with. That being said, I am still a part of this team. Despite not being a full-time employee, I've been incorporated into the team. The team has welcomed me with open arms. I'm still on the Friday team calls, those Friday Cheers calls that I talked about. So despite not being a full-time employee, I consider myself to be very much a part of this team. Now back to the original question, was I scared to quit my full-time job? Because I ultimately ended up leaving my job to run my agency full-time at the end of May. So I started full-time at the beginning of June, and the answer is no. I wasn't scared to take the jump and quit my job and run my own business full-time because I ran the agency part-time for 5 to 6 months before actually taking that jump. And in that time, I didn't spend or touch any of the money that I had made working the agency. And as a result of that, I had a decent runway that in case everything went to zero, knock on wood, I would be okay for a good number of months, and I waited until my agency was bringing in more money than my full-time job. I was more afraid to call and actually hand in my 2 weeks because with it being COVID and me leaving, it made things kind of complicated on that side a little bit. So I didn't want to let anyone down in my full-time job at the time, but I tried to mitigate as much risk as possible before taking that jump, and because of that, I wasn't afraid. Once my 2 weeks were in, I was surprised at how calm I was. That's a really good question, and it's something I'm still figuring out and working on. I'm always trying different ways of organizing my day, different routines, different morning and night routines. I think at the end of the day, everybody does it a little bit differently, but here's how I do it. Right now, I use a project management tool called Notion. It's free to use as an individual. I highly recommend you check it out, but it's a little bit complicated, but I have a dynamic to-do list right now that populates every single morning with everything that has to get done by the end of the day, and it's marked by who I need to get what done for. So I have that populates every single morning. Then whenever any requests come in, whether it be through text, phone calls, emails, I put it into Notion right away. I mark whatever day it has to be done by so that it's on my to-do list. So if I get an email that says I need something done by next Tuesday, I can throw it in Notion, mark it as next Tuesday, and then when next Tuesday rolls around, my to-do list will pop up and that thing will be there. So I can stop thinking about, I don't have to worry about remembering everything, and I can just focus on the task at hand. I hope you're enjoying this vlogception and my Trufan takeover. Now I'm actually just jumping in to end off my day. I'm jumping into the Trufan team call here at 5 o'clock, and then at 5:30 I have a call with my friend Jordan Hiley from Make More Capital, and he's on a mission to help millennials and Gen Z learn how to invest their money better for the long term. So I have a call with him, and he's going to teach me how and where I should be putting my money for the long term. About to wrap up today's takeover. Thank you to anyone that's made it this far. This has been a long one. I've got a couple outstanding questions, so we're going to rapid fire those answers, and then I'm going to head out for the weekend. Growing up, I wanted to be a writer, both of movie scripts and of novels. Absolutely. Even if you're not a marketer by trade, having an in-depth understanding of your audience is always going to be beneficial. 4 tools that I use when managing social media. I like InShot for content, Linktree for link in bio, Canva for graphics, and Headliner for subtitling videos. Prior to my time with Trufan, I spent 2 seasons running the social media and digital content for the Ottawa 67s and the OHL. Then I spent 1 full season in the off season managing the social media content and digital for the Ottawa Red Blacks. With the podcast, I like putting the puzzle pieces of someone's life together in a chronological order so that when we sit down to do the podcast, it flows really, really smoothly. I love having different conversations with interesting people that I never would get the chance to meet otherwise every single week. That concludes today's Instagram takeover. Thank you so much for tuning in, especially if you've made it all the way through the stories to this point. I appreciate you for sticking through it. If you have any other questions or want to speak with me, you can find me on Instagram here. Thanks again.